Afternoon. Good to see everyone. The fact that it's Monday doesn't make it any more disappointing. So we didn't show up, didn't play well. Those things start with me, and we need to find some quick solutions to some things. And hopefully we've had a good day of diving into some of those things, and yesterday included as well. But played, not very well defensively on special teams. Had too many intolerable penalties. And one of the other concerns is when you look back at our last three losses, when teams score first, we have a tough time recovering from that, and feel like we're on our heels a little bit. So we need to find out what's causing that, why we're playing passive. What happens to our confidence when an opponent scores first. So I'll open it up for questions. I'm sure you guys have some today.
Now that you have a chance to look back and watch the whole game, what do you think was the biggest issue defensively? Was it misalignments, missed opportunities? What do you think?
I don't think we played very well at any three levels. Of course, with how we're accustomed to playing and kind of how we pride ourselves, I anticipate we want to play better up front, and so we need to play better up front. We have a lot of depth up there. We have some veteran presence, guys who played a lot of football last year, all back. Guys who got banged up last year are back now too. So we need to play better up front.
What is the issue with the defensive line? Especially Saturday. What was going on that they were? Looked like UND's offensive line was pretty much having its way with you.
I just don't think we played very well fundamentally, and maybe need to get back to the basics. And so challenged our coaches that it doesn't matter how elaborate the scheme is or if we understand it, it's what our players can execute. And so we need to do a great opportunity, or I need to do a good job of evaluating what we're looking at and what we're doing on Saturday.
Film now, is effort an issue?
No, I don't think so. I really don't. I thought our kids played hard, just didn't play well.
An issue, Matt? This is the second time in 3 games where it's been a slow start.
I don't think so. We haven't varied how we practice very much from spring of 2014 when I showed up here, and so I think we are still a process-driven football team. I know that's getting more and more difficult as the years go by, just because everyone wants to look at stats and there's a plethora of them out there, of course, but. I think we have a pattern that helps create success in how we go about our practice. So, I think how we're practicing and the tempo and the energy and the effort that we get at practice is helping us get to Saturday. I just need it to go from Friday to Saturday now.
Consistency needed in the running back room. I know most of the year the quarterbacks have been the leading rushers.
I would love to have more tailback run game, but again, I think some of it is when you have quarterback run game, there is a read component to it, and if teams are telling the quarterback to keep it, I think right now that's what you're seeing. A lot of teams are saying, hey, we're not going to let your tailbacks get downhill on us, and so Cam and Cole have been successful. And I think on Saturday you saw some of the run game was probably a little bit skewed because Cam just took off a few times when they played some back to the ball defense.
Some younger players maybe getting a chance this week. Is that still in play, or are you sitting?
Yeah, I think so. I think we're gonna find out just how much they've retained and how much they've continued to develop over the course of the last 6 weeks.
Name or position group that comes to mind when you said that?
I think still Najee Nelson, Jalen Duffy, Jalen Crumby would be a couple guys that jump out right at me. I know Jack Lewinsky and Griffin have both moved up kind of back and forth a little bit with the offensive line at different times. So those would be a few names that I would think of right now, just guys that seem to be kind of ahead of schedule as far as their development goes.
You said after the game, people's true colors are going to come out and we're going to find out who's bought in. Could you maybe elaborate what they might have meant by that?
I didn't hear the comment, so I'm not sure what they were. I'm sure, Logan, knowing the guys that you had in there, I'm sure you had both Jakes in there. I would anticipate, just as we all see, when things get tough, people make excuses. And so I think that's probably what they were referring to.
What was Wisniewski's status first Saturday?
Day right now. Talked to him yesterday briefly. I have not seen him today. Have not had my final medical meeting yet.
Did your coach yesterday for meetings? Was there
Yeah,
anything?
we're together every Sunday.
And what was the tone this week and what did you go, and what did you go over and
We went
what
over
did you discuss?
through the game, went through all the things you guys have asked about, preparation. When you don't play well, you don't play to your standard, you start peeling back a lot of layers. But I think the one thing we cannot do is all of a sudden make a whole bunch of knee-jerk reactions and start changing everything mid-season. We need to find ways to mitigate some of the issues so that we can continue to be competitive in games.
Your talent level?
Not right now. What I'm concerned about is us playing to our capabilities.
Disappointing, after the game today. Is there anything that you're figuring that's the most disappointing? I mean, obviously, there's probably is there one thing that's the most disappointing or maybe alarming thing about what happened Saturday?
Probably the last piece that I mentioned that, our opponent came out, scored a touchdown right on the first kickoff, and it felt like we were back on our heels a little bit. Rather than being on the attack and coming together, it wasn't typical Bison response, and that was disappointing.
Detail along those lines. Have you thought about if you win the toss, just taking the ball first, just because the way?
Sure.
Because the way you
Yeah, those
responded
are
was-
all on Monday, all things to think about. Yep.
That the getting down early factor. How do you address that with the guys? It doesn't seem like something you could just like practice into them.
It is kind of a difficult scenario that you practice. Is all of a sudden when you're down 7-0. I don't know. I think those are things that we're kind of in discussion. Like, how can we emulate that part of the game or that situation of the game? And it needs to be, more urgency.
To the fans who are concerned about the loss on Saturday and about what's coming up the rest of the season.
I guess my number one concern are the people in the locker room, the families that are associated with us, and the coaches. As I've said before, there's, when the dome's full, there's 18,000 separate expectations. We need to continue to strive to meet Bison's standard.
What do these next two games provide? Because November's kind of a gauntlet, like to be at home for 2 games to get back on track.
But just got to go 1-0 this week. It starts with a great week of practice, great meetings this afternoon, and an opportunity to continue to learn.
Specifically from your guys as far as response goes.
A great week, holding each other accountable. Again, player-driven team, and if we can get our leaders to our best players to be our best leaders, and vice versa, we'll have an opportunity to continue to have success.
Over margin, it seems like it's kind of feast or famine. You either like create 3 or 4, or I know you can't plan for turnovers, but is there more? Does there need to be more consistency in the playmaking or making plays like that?
Yeah, you'd love to have more consistency from game to game to create more takeaways, of course. But I think you try to make them when you can, and try to get the ball out and emphasize it as much as you can in practice.
Lewinsky as a possibility to move up.
Jack.
I'm sorry, Jack. Yep. Is that?
He's been kind of back and forth a little bit in practice right now. So a guy who is kind of ahead of the curve a little bit. Griffin Empey's done it as well.
Are there still concerns about the offensive line? You switched some things around in the offense.
You asked what guys might be, on the end of development, and I gave you a fair number of names that I think guys who are ahead of the curve who might be able to help us as we enter kind of that, late October, November.
Redshirt freshman development there, like a Logan Larson, your Dutton Heifer and Heisman have played a lot. Is there more opportunity for reps there?
I think so. We needs to be consistent reps, though. I think Cody's continued to play well. Still, at times will play a little bit high. Typical young player. Got away with it in high school because he was the strongest and fastest kid. Logan Larson continues to do a nice job. He has helped us out on special teams. I think you've seen more probably redshirt freshmen help us on special teams. Chris Harris has been a big piece for us. Unfortunately, Owen Johnson had been a big piece for us on special teams, but he'll be done for the season right now with his knee injury. But that's where I think a lot of our younger guys have started to elevate and show that they can help us.
Julian Darsick,
Day to day right now.
And then if Cole was unable to go Saturday, would Ryan Jones be the starter?
At this moment, as of today, Darius Givens would be our other safety.
time in Macomb, but give me your sense of where things are at and how frustrating, disappointing is it to you see the struggles that they've had over the last few years?
I don't know if it's.
The struggles too. What's happened there?
Well, I think, again, I haven't been there for a number of years now. Things have definitely probably changed in the 10 years that I've been here. And I hate to sit here and judge, but I know just like a lot of institutions, they've seen a dramatic decline in enrollment, which, when you're talking about a community that's probably only 15, 20,000 max, that has a huge impact on just the economic impact that the university brings. And, when you're driven, when your budget is driven by ticket sales and sponsorships, all of that can be dramatically impacted.
Just seeing the trend, if you fall behind in games, you're just not responding. Is that surprising with, the veteran players you have?
Of course it is, yeah. I would anticipate the opposite response, to when that happens.